As an artist, I've always been interested in visual dichotomies, things like meat that have both a very sexual and powerful side to them, as well as a very grotesque and kind of violent side to them. So it's dichotomies that interest me most. And then when the viewer ponders the images, there's more to it contextually and intellectually, where they begin to think about meat processing, they begin to collect upon the visceral matter, and then the image, it takes on a whole new life of its own. My wife and I bought a house upstate recently, and I noticed that along the certain routes there are rendering plants, and I went to visit a few, and I realized that while I was there were all sorts of things that put my senses on high alert. It made me think that perhaps meat also had another side to it, and that was this sense of urgency, where it kind of commented on the times of the day. And meat, to me, slowly and steadily became sort of a metaphor for the times that we live in. 2.5 years ago, my wife and I gave birth to our first child, a daughter named Zayla. I knew I was going to become the dragon slayer, the protector of my family, someone whose senses were always on high alert. And guns became sort of a metaphor, in a sense, as a self-portrait. In my paintings, they're not handled. They're sitting quietly on a pillow, on a bed. They're very gently preoccupied with contemplation. So they're not actively out to hurt. They're actually out to be looked at, like striking the eye and seducing the mind. And guns and meat really hit the mark for me. There are many artists that I've learned to internalize, namely Caravaggio, Titian, Velázquez, and Rembrandt. Now, I say internalize because I've had these ever since day one as an art student. But over time, and of course, visiting them and having lived in Rome and looking at Caravaggio's up close, they blow me away, and they will always blow me away. But even in recent times, I actually happen to like Jeff Koons' work, and there's always this weird play on my imbuing my work with a very contemporary, almost, you could say, American culture underpinning. But yet, there's a very strong throwback to my work where I take from Velázquez and Rembrandt and Caravaggio and Titian and Bellini on a much more steady and constant basis. I'm very much a traditionalist. All throughout art school, I have been a big fan of the Baroque, where the lighting is very harsh and things are seemingly scrutinized when they're lit so harshly. It brings the viewer into the painting a little more intimately. I want the viewer to become more like an active participant, where the cupcakes are reachable, where the shine of the gun, the glint off the barrel can kind of squint one's eyes. You can hear the jingle of the keychain, and you definitely can shake the bourbon and feel the ice cubes jostle. These are intimate moments, and the harsh lighting in my take brings that to a very strong and potent visual.